manufacture it, all the testing information. So if I'm able to take this part and find it and not have to re-engineer it, or find similar parts and be able to use those, that's incredibly valuable right now. And that's where we're trying to work in is part search and feature recognition. Text to CAD, we'd love to support that as well through our translation tools, being able to provide that to you. But right now we're just trying to bite off just smaller chunks of foundational approaches.
It's interesting the way you phrase that, because it sounds similar to what a lot of the innovation that I'm seeing on the manufacturing side of the fence, where they're taking the IoT, the SCADA, the PLCs, and recontextualizing. So that's what you're saying. You're taking the 3D data and recontextualizing it in the PLM engineering context, basically,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
OpenUSD helps us do that, but also contextualize in the manufacturing context, which is what makes it unique. But I don't think those are the only announcements you've made, the AI ones. Weren't there some announcements around
Spinfire, yeah.
Spinfire, yeah.
So yeah, we released a mobile viewer recently. So like I mentioned, we supported DGN. Cellular volumes for simulation is huge, and
Yeah.
we talk about CAD and CAM, but simulation analysis is a bigger industry, dollar for dollar. And so making sure that we're able to visualize cellular volume, so it's a way of which you can be looking at simulation results or pre-processing data. So making sure that in our graphics engines, we're supporting that.
Cool.
We're starting to talk about a data hub. So that's really exciting. So that's kind of future looking later this year. So kind of think of opening up your data throughout the engineering enterprise through a set of APIs and through a set of plugins and tools that sit on top of that. So there are like a number of things happening here at TechSoft. USD, we've been announcing the support for that. And then also later this year, there's another format for quality assurance and coordinate measuring. That's QIF, quality. I forget what it stands for, but
interface format or something.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a very structured, powerful way of bringing all of your MBD data in, and then also including inspection results from a CMM machine, or how to do inspection as well.
So what kinds of like specific customer problems were you trying to address by some of these announcements? So there were particular things where people said, I really have this problem, and darn it, if TechSoft 3D could give me something.
Yeah, I mean, we went in a bunch of directions there. And so when we think about how do we invest at TechSoft, so the main thing is making sure that we're current and in unlocking data throughout the enterprise for our customers. So we have about 700 different independent software vendors that are using our tools, and they need to be able to access CATIA, SolidWorks, Creo, NX data, 30 different file formats within their application. So we're multi-CAD enabling them, and a fair amount of our energy just goes into making sure that we maintain those translators. So that's a big thing. On top of that, we do look at where are our customers going when it comes to features and how do we support them in doing that. So new formats like USD and QIF and DGN, and then on top of that, like where is innovation happening at TechSoft? So that's Hoops AI, and
Right.
and that that's there's little things like I forget, like configurations in Creo, for instance, or multi-threading, CATIA file translation. So there's always these little things that we're trying to improve. But right now, a lot of our R&D is just going into Hoops AI, as well as our data hub. So I guess those are the two major initiatives here at TechSoft, is making sure that we're ready for that final migration to the cloud, the opening up of data through APIs for MCPs is really interesting to us, and then also just Hoops AI and being able to encode your CAD data.
So which of the announcements you mentioned had the biggest reaction from your partners?
Hoops AI.
Yeah,
I mean, just when we look, like, this is a small industry. How many independent software vendors are building 3D engineering applications? I mean, you know that better than
123 about. Well, that's
Yeah,
just design intelligence, another 200
yeah.
if you go there.
But it's a small industry, right? And so we have about 700 different companies using one or more pieces of our technology. And so when I host a webinar, like I'm excited to get 100 people there. Like that's a good day for me because how many software developers are doing that. But when we released Hoops AI, we saw we had to upgrade our Zoom webinar account.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so the response was great. We lead with that. And it opens doors. We're finding a lot of companies are like, they like the idea of AI. They're trying to figure out, everyone's trying to figure out how do we appease our board, our investors, or how do we stay competitive? They don't quite know how. They don't might not have the internal experience with machine learning, but it intrigues them. And what we actually find is they might not be ready to implement machine learning algorithms, but they still need data translation or they
Yeah.
still need graphics. And so even though it's interesting to them, we actually find that we start at the very base levels. Like, all right, let's get you some high quality data access, and then we can start talking about other more complicated workflows and other toolkits on top of that.
And and some of these new capabilities, are they completely complementary to the current offering, or some of them or are you also sunsetting things along the way?
Uh, we have an ecosystem, so I think we like to talk about it. We have about 10 different SDKs that we make ourselves. And then we also partner with companies like Siemens and MachineWorks for their modeling kernels. So Siemens has Parasolid, MachineWorks has their Polygonica mesh modeling toolkit. So that ecosystem, everything kind of works with bridges and connected APIs, embeddings within them. Do we sunset things occasionally? Trying to think what's been sunset in the past. Um, maybe like we had a ray tracer that we're not actively pushing right now.
Mm,
But we haven't even sunset that. I'm trying to no, we've consolidated. So we try to simplify our product offering actually. So we had a 3D PDF creation and kind of a file writing set of tools that's just been incorporated into Hoops Exchange now. That's our file access. So it's read write. So you can read CAD data in and publish a 3D PDF. So what tends to happen is we build relationships with companies and they ship their products on top of our SDKs, and the life of those products are measured in decades. And so it's very
mm.
hard for us to sunset
Yeah, of
technology.
course.
Maybe like the biggest sunset news is like we're not supporting Visual Studio 2015, for instance. Like, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Or if Apple's kind of, if they sunset, let's OpenGL, for instance, then we try to respond to that. So Microsoft, so the big vendors, when they sunset a technology, we have to pivot. And those are
Gotcha.
really the big things that, and at the same time, like we still have to support,
Yeah,
even
the
if they've
guys that have
sunset,
already
we
got
still
it.
have to support. So we try to be this real stable foundation with a long-term partnership. And literally we have customers that work with us for decades, which is great to see.
That's awesome. Well, let's step into the heart of the debate, which we've already been touching around, but about AI. So everybody's obviously talking about it, but what are your customers? What are TechSoft customers really asking for today? What is their main ask for when
Mhm.
they come to you and say we need AI?
Yeah. Uh, they're still trying to define that. Like everyone seems to be building an agent for automating the UI within their application. But where we're finding some real value is connecting business information. So that could be procurement, costing, manufacturing, quoting, connecting that to the original CAD data, and focusing on geometry search and feature recognition are kind of like the big areas that we continue to see themes in this space.
And where do you think that AI is creating genuine new value inside traditional engineering workflows? Where do you think is the wedge that it's creating in there?
Where is it creating value? Automating rote tasks. I mean, that's absolutely true. And then providing insight into connecting the dots. So, for instance, like just not knowing what you have available to you and being able to organize it in a meaningful way. So these parts catalogs being able to bring some sense to them and organization to them as well.
And where do you think that we're overhyping it?
Everywhere.
Well,
I
specifically in
Yeah.
engineering and industry, what things do you think we've been talking about and you're just like, "Yeah, right, right, whatever."
I mean, I'm still text to CAD. I'm I mean, I think like with anything we'll get there, but I think like that's a long ways off, honestly. Or like, yeah, like these,
I
it's
thought you were
hard to
gonna
build
say
a company.
pens. I thought you were gonna say pens, right? Everybody's ragging on pens nowadays. You know, the, physically
Yeah,
informed neural networks are sort of out of fashion
yeah,
now.
yeah.
But what does how does and you've already touched on this, but I wanted you to be able to nail put the nail on the board on how does high quality engineering data, particularly 3D data, become a real advantage for AI?
Yeah, the more data, the better. And it's more than just triangles. It's more than just BREP. It's more than just topology. But when you're able to look at the PMI and the relationships within assemblies and the metadata, so this is all encoded into our systems these days in our data and our files. And so making sure that you have access to that is really really important.
The contextualization
Mhm.
of the thing.
Yeah. And then back to the workflows, like being able to actually track the data back to, how is it and why was it built that way?
Of course. Well, design intent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really huge field at the moment in terms of startups coming up with
Mhm.
uh, interpreting and interpreting design intent is absolutely huge. Um, in terms of visualization collaboration, which is really one of the core values that you guys provide, engineering teams today they include suppliers, manufacturers, service, procurement, even end customers. How has that changed the requirements for visualization in particular? Probably it's forced you to have really simple user interfaces because you're going to
Mhm.
have a lot of people that aren't technical, right?
Yeah. And so we talk about engineering data throughout the enterprise. So not just on the designers, the engineers' desk, but throughout the enterprise. And we're trying to unlock that in a number of different ways. So we do that two ways. So our Spinfire set of products, those are end user products, allow you to have lightweight viewers on mobile, desktop, web, throughout your enterprise at a kind of a lower cost, but having rich data access. So we do that. That's super attractive to people. And then at the same time, which is interesting, we compete with our customers on the toolkit side of things. They're doing that in unique ways as well, and that's really important. So having it lightweight, having it streamable, having it on a mobile device or in a web portal is really really important. People want that because it helps make informed decisions, and so
Yeah,
that
I
is
was actually about to
absolutely,
ask that question on how important are lightweight data formats, so
yeah.
very.
Yeah, I mean, the flavor of the format changes, right? So you can stream geometry. There are lightweight formats out there. There's lightweight representations. That's why USD is interesting. Kind of bringing it back to that is it can sit on a server and you can just request, let's say, the visualization data without all of the heavy metadata, and you can request that on demand. And so yeah, we do see a lot of opportunity there as well.
So what roles do these web technologies for 3D now play compared to the way we used to just use desktop tools?
Collaboration, review.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. These connected environments. So teams, distributed teams, right? So we're global workforces, and so making sure that you just don't have it on the shop floor or in the floor of engineering, but you have to be able to have a connected system that spans continents as well, and be able to collaborate in real time or be able to check in and provide feedback, and that's super important as well.
So software vendors are increasing excuse me. I'm out of water. Oh well. Software vendors are increasingly wanting best of breed components rather than building everything themselves. Are you seeing that accelerate the fact that they're actually building with with external tools, or do you think that we still have this one stop shop kind of attitude?
Yeah, the build versus buy, I think is the term there. We actually have a ebook coming out pretty soon. Maybe we can share
Oh,
that.
cool.
Yeah, we've done some research with Tech Clarity around that. There's a lot of
Ah,
reasons to
hi Tim.
drive. Sorry, the competition. Uh,
No,
but
it's
there's a
not a
lot of reasons
competition.
to
He's a
build
friend of
versus
mine.
buy. Um, you should not build data translation. I just letting you know that you should not build a solid modeling kernel, um,
Mm,
but you should build a UI. You should build a web portal. And in some ways, like graphics are kind of a commodity now, and we're kind of seeing that. Sometimes people will use our graphics. Sometimes they'll build their own graphics. The benefit of using components is they're integrated, and so like our graphics are very very focused on engineering data and navigating it. So there's some real benefits there. Um, but then buying an off the shelf product like our Spinfire viewers, it's quickly, you can deploy it quickly. They're secure. You don't have to maintain them. But when you buy something, they're not configurable. They might not fit your workflow completely. You might have a very specific workflow and intellectual property to the way in which you do design and manufacturing, which would require you to build. So it's like this either or. Um, but some of those foundational components like data translation, solid modeling, graphics to some extent, simulation as well, simulation engines and accelerating simulation, like a lot of that stuff, you'd want to get a component for or just buy off the shelf. Like I'm not
and
going to go build ANSYS. Like,
no,
yeah,
well, actually, there are people that are trying to,
there. I
but
guess so. I guess so. There's always a exception to the case, isn't there? Yeah,
so how do you balance openness with protecting intellectual property? Which is an interesting question, right? Because that's the I think one of the pivotal moments in the CAD
mhm.
industry was when Chuck Grindstaff and Tony Affuso said, if we sell our kernel to everybody else, it's just going to make us work harder to make better software because the
Yeah,
differentiating factor will not be the kernel, it'll be the software around. So how do you guys balance that? Because you guys are also have an open toolkit, and yet you want to make sure that the best stuff is, people are coming back to TechSoft for it.
yeah. We we're very open because we open up file formats to everybody. So that's like the first thing is we're in an openness enabler where you can read any CAD data for the most part and be able to access it within your application. So that's a big deal. We don't open source it. That's our intellectual property. So those binaries are specific to TechSoft, but we are trying to facilitate openness because of that and provide it. The same thing is we will provide it to everybody. So we provide it same technology to Siemens as we do to So, as we do to Autodesk, as we do to the startup to NTOP. Um, and so that's really important. We're not affiliated with any of those companies, which could, if you buy a component from them, they may revoke your privilege if you become too competitive. We are the Switzerland of CAD component technology, which is a great place to be, and have everybody benefit from that. There are some things like we open source our UI for web CAD viewing, our viewer there. So we find that that's really important, and we're always asking ourselves, like, this is a big question, is like, should we just start giving away some CAD translation for free?
Mm.
Um, and just so that's like it's an active topic of TechSoft, like trying to figure out where can we continue to support the industry, not all CAD translation, but kind of what areas, and supporting open standards. So open standards like IFC for building and construction, open standard there, STEP
Step for
for, yeah,
CAD.
for all of its kind of it
When
has
you mention
multiple
QIF
flavors.
for
Yep.
the quality stuff.
Yeah, USD, JT, which is like pseudo open. So we support JT and partner with Siemens, who also kind of has this level playing field approach to components as well.
Thank you, Siemens PLM Components, our friends Evan and Company. Um, So what advice would you give to startups when they're in that, build versus buy kind of thing? I mean,
Yeah.
your answer is obviously gonna be, well, when it comes to visualization, you come to us and you don't bother with
It depends. Like I said,
eh,
visualization, you may be able to distinguish yourself there. Like I know we have like point cloud visualization, for instance. You might be like really good at that. Um, just do what you're good at, and then leave everything else foundational up to a component provider. So, particularly data translation, solid modeling, mesh modeling, um, visualization to some extent. Honestly, what I would recommend if you're a startup, you have to create an MVP as fast as possible, right? You need to show a vision. And so don't go build a graphics engine, go use one off the shelf. And if you want to distinguish yourself in a unique way later, that's fine. But like you need to create a product. And today with the way in which you can use a Copilot or other AI coding tools, like it's not, you don't pitch a PowerPoint deck anymore. You pitch an application. And so you build something and you want to show it. And these SDKs allow you to do that incredibly quickly. And most of them have a certain evaluation phase or a startup program that allows you to use the technology and get funding. And then we can talk about how do we enter into a commercial agreement to use that technology.
let me just tack onto that question. So um, how does it work in terms of your particular work with startups? How do you guys enable startups to add this the visualization stuff of TechSoft into their software without it becoming an additional burn on the limited amount of capital they have?
Yeah, we give a free evaluation. And then we also couple you with a content expert, an engineer, so engineer to engineer support to implement that as well and make you
Oh,
as
cool.
successful as possible.
Very cool. Because I know you do have quite a few startups on the list that are
We do.
customers, which is
Oh
great.
yeah.
So looking ahead, I know it's kind of ridiculous. These questions are always 3 to 5 years, and we can't even look ahead 6 months anymore. But well, actually, I'll change the original question I was going to ask. Do you think we're going to see an open AI moment? I just had a call with two French startups about an hour and a half ago, Oplid and Cognix, and they were like really bullish. They think we're going to have an engineering open AI moment, certainly before 2030, maybe even before 2028. Um, what do you think about that? Do you think how close we are to before and an after in engineering? Because we certainly aren't there yet, right? We're still in the old world for the moment.
Yeah, I our industry just moves slowly. It just it just does. I would love to see that, but even some of these what you call startup unicorns, it's been a 5 to 7 year just grind for them.
You're talking
Um,
about like the Intops or the
yeah,
or
yeah,
Collab or guys like that.
yeah, absolutely. So our industry moves slowly. Um, I don't I don't see a massive paradigm shift. So like for instance, um, uh, convergent modeling, which is tessellation plus topology or hybrid modeling, that was a big thing 10 years ago. And like we're just starting to see workflows adopt that. Like it's a good technology. And then with NTOP, what's their modeling kernel? Their
Implicit, implicit.
implicit. I mean, there's very unique, good uses for all of these, but is it going to flip our industry upside down? And I just don't think so. Um,
Uh, I, I
it's
I wish I was going to be in Washington D.C. next week to see CD Fam because I don't know if you read about it, and the other people listening, someone hopefully will go to Washington next week and then tell us about it. But they're going to do a demo with 6 startups and one demo. Ntop is Starry Digital, Siskit, C Infinity, and I'm trying to remember the other two. And it's going to be apparently it's going to be pretty close to an open AI moment in terms of infinite design spaces and being able to do a requirements based design straight through, including all the security with air gaps. It's going to be, I think it's going to be kind of crazy. It just
well,
it's a long flight to America just for
yeah.
me from Paris anyway.
Well, let's go. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
But I do
Of
feel like
course.
things are happening faster than ever, and
Mhm.
the rate of innovation and in our industry is feeling that, and that's going to continue. It's going to continue to accelerate. So that's absolutely true.
Okay, well, so if you were to imagine looking 3 to 5 years ahead, what changes do you think would be the most surprising looking back to software engineering?
Yeah,
Software engineering, sorry.
engineering software. Um, I mean, one thing that is, what's the next paradigm shift? Looking towards that. So, AI, we're riding that wave. We're still kind of, I feel, in its infancy there. So that's going to run its course, absolutely. What I'm interested in the future, maybe even more than 5 years, is quantum computing and how that's going to impact our industry. Particularly,
Good question.
there's certain workflows that can be accelerated, particularly around simulation, right? So that's a data heavy space and easily parallelizable. And so we barely have the compute power. We don't have the compute power yet at all, but that's going to be changing multiple industries, and I think ours as well. And so, kind of, what does that look like, and how do we support that, and what workflows can we migrate there?
I do have several startups, including BQP and
Hmm.
Quotient, that are looking very
Yeah.
carefully. Quotient just closed a massive funding round not even 2 months ago.
Hmm.
I'll be seeing them in Helsinki. I'll be going to the Slush conference in November, so I'll be able to see some of my Finnish friends up there. If you were starting an engineering company today, where would you focus?
I think that's where I would focus.
Quantum?
I
You
think
just go
so.
there?
Yeah.
And which technologies do you think are still underestimated today? What opportunities are we missing? What rocks should we be looking under?
The glue between systems.
The digital
Um,
thread?
yeah. Yeah. There's still opportunity there.
So we're almost at the end of the questions. I wanted to ask, what's next for over the next 12 to 18 months? What can we expect from you guys?
Yeah. A doubling down of different tools that sit on top of Hoops AI. So, being able to connect that to business intelligence is going to be really important. And then the release of our data hub technology that allows you to deploy
Oh yeah,
quickly
that's
at,
gonna be
at
cool.
enterprise scale through APIs, not file based, but API based data access.
And if nobody ever, someone that's listening has never evaluated your products before, where should they start?
Techsoft3D.com,
Uh,
and navigate to any of our evaluate now pages, and we can set you up. Um, Download the product, get the learning material, get connected with our team. Like I said, we have a global team that's able to support you engineer to engineer, and that's something we really enjoy, is being able to understand your problems and help you build solutions for those.
Awesome. Well, I've had a great time today. I appreciate
Super fun.
all the answers. Do you have any closing comments before we go to the audience?
No, I things are happening faster than ever. That's really absolutely the case. Um, and it sounds like you got quite a big travel schedule. I am really enjoying connecting with people, either virtually or in person. And I feel like in this very disconnected AI world, it's the personal connection that I'm really enjoying a lot more. So looking forward to seeing you and your listeners wherever we may be later this year.
Are you going to be at ITMS in
Yep,
Chicago? I
absolutely.
haven't
Yep.
I haven't decided on that one yet, but I do have Slush on the agenda. I
Yeah.
want to do another threaded. I haven't figured out when or where yet. That's a work in progress. But we'll find. Well, maybe Chicago. Then that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Has a beef sandwich and some beers.
Some pizza, deep dish pizza. Yeah. Sounds
Oh,
good.
before we go, actually, my friend Brian Carroll, who's a regular guest on my other podcast, is asking, "What is your opinion about the profile that's forming, referred to as product memory?" You probably see some of the debates on that
Yeah.
with
That's not something
Oleg and stuff.
I'm not too familiar with that. So I can't comment on that, unfortunately.
Sorry, Brian.
Sorry.
It's okay. Well, it's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to talking the next time when you guys have some big stuff to announce. And thank you to the audience for listening. Please feel free to contact Jonathan and go to the website, and we'll I'm not sure how many more of these are gonna do before the big summer break, so we might be seeing you in September. In any case, thank you, Jonathan. Say hi to
Great.
the
Thanks,
whole
Michael.
team, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great summer.
That's good. Thanks, guys.